I slow rolled it a little bit. Let's go to the basement. Michael Lombardi's basement, the bottom 10 teams. I love this segment. It's fun. And we start with number 10 on Michael's bottom 10 college football. That's UConn. UConn has a new head coach. We should start there.
How about that? How about Jim Mora taking that job? I give him credit. He wanted to get back into coaching, and it took some guts to do it, and he's going into Clemson. He's going to fly with the team down there, and he's going to be a 41-point dog. I have a hard time thinking that they're going to cover 41 points unless Dabo calls off. I mean, look, Dabo's got to – this is really – I don't think Dabo's going to call off any dogs. Dabo's got to get his team to execute and continue to play better. I like Clemson and laying the 41.
Yeah, I know this is going to sound ridiculous. 41 feels light today.
It does feel light, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, if it's 51 with New Mexico and Alabama, it should essentially be the same thing with UConn coming to town. Roar.
I mean, UConn, they got nice facilities there. I think Mora's hungry.
And he's a recruiter. Jim Mora Jr. is a recruiter.
And he's a recruiter. And he'll recruit. Yes, sir.
Yep, you nailed it. FIU is number 9, Michael, on your list. They opened catching 10 versus Middle Tennessee State. They're 1-8 overall. They're 3-6 ATS. FIU next.
This is interesting how, FIU, the coaching is going to, the Pete Garcia was moved out. He was the athletic director. Butch Jones is saying Butch Davis, he's saying he's not getting fired. He's all there. Everything's going to be great. I like Middle Tennessee here today. Not that Middle Tennessee is any good, but I think that that program down there is not very stable.
Poor Butch. Butch did a good job, and he's done a good job as a coach. He's kind of been under the radar. Had a couple good years to start at FIU, but it's gone downhill. UMass comes in on Michael's basement here at number 8, off the board versus.
They're looking for a new coach.
They are.
They're looking for a new coach. You want to apply, Patrick?
Yes.
Stephen Bond, you're from up there. I'll recommend you for that job. You could do it. There's no line on it versus the main Bearcats today. So. UMass, I'll tell you what, UMass is, again, you got to understand, you got to get somebody that goes in there that knows the area, knows to recruit, and can recruit and build a program. Tough job. Tough job.
If you and Millie were to get a summer house outside of Ocean City, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but play with me, and you went to the Northeast, where would you go? Would you go to Maine? Would you go to New Hampshire? Where would you go?
I think you'd have to go to a lake. Since you have a beach house, you have to go to a lake house somewhere like up there in the Lake Winnipesaukee up in New Hampshire. I mean, that's always beautiful up there. I think I always wanted to go to Kennebunkport.
Kennebunkport's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I hear the bugs are bad up there though.
Okay,
that's
stay away from the bugs.
I love the coastline. Yeah.
New Mexico State's
We don't
next.
have bugs here. We don't have bugs in Jersey.
No,
we have them, but they don't come around all the time.
The problem with Ocean City is no bugs, but also no booze. So I don't know if I could last there. You live in a dry town.
I would beg to differ to you. Yeah, in those stands watching that game, there was booze in there. They were just in the cups. That's all, Patrick.
I read solo cups. I feel you. New Mexico State open 51, sitting 50.5 somewhere in there at Alabama today.
I mean, this might be a John Oates play for me. I can't go for that. I don't know how you lay 51 against anybody, right? How do you do that? I don't think New Mexico could score. I would play the under. That would be my play here. I think the under at 67 might be in play. I like that. I don't know, laying 51. I would take New Mexico State in 51. I mean, Nick, at halftime, Nick's got to put his third-string guys in there. I mean, seriously.
He's going to be eating his oatmeal pie and his Diet Coke and just he's going to be munching, right?
He'll be bitching in the second half. No, he'll be bitching in the second half. Somebody will be doing something wrong. He'll go crazy.
Hey, he just turned 70, by the way. Looks good for 70, no?
I know. He looks great, doesn't he?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, it looks great. Yep. Yeah.
How about the Golden Eagles?
He's still got moves. Him and Prime still have moves on those commercials.
Oh, I know. I like those commercials, actually. 6, Southern Miss. It's been a program that's won in the past, although not right now. They're 1-8 overall.
No.
Texas San Antonio, they're catching 33
This is a
here.
good team. Look at this. Look at this 33 line with Texas San Antonio. They just re-signed their coach to a huge contract. San Antonio is a really good team. I would probably stay away. This number gotten a little bit too big. I would probably stay away, but I would lean towards San Antonio. The money split on this game is interesting. It's 51% of the tickets are on Southern Miss, and yet all the money, 64%, is on Texas San Antonio. So this might tick up to 33. It is 33. I think there's some 32.5 if you can get it. I think the people are betting San Antonio.
That's your ranked Texas San Antonio team at 23. Next one, you better act right, Akron. Let's go to the MAC. Number 5 on the list. Western Michigan, pardon me, they're catching 20. They're 2-8 Akron overall. The Zips are 5-5 ATS, Michael.
Well, they covered that plus 20 number on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the hell this team plays. I mean, give them credit, right? They hung in there. They're 5-5 against the spread.
You're right.
They covered it. So, I should probably leave them out of my bottom ranking because the MAC doesn't ever play on Saturday. So
got all their games
most
midweek.
of them don't. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Arkansas State open catching 3. UL Monroe here. This is an Arkansas State team that's been good in the past as well, but not right now. 1-8. They're 4-5 ATS.
But Monroe, usually Monroe's in my bottom 10, and they're laying it. I mean, they're laying it. How about that? How bad must Arkansas State be that they're laying it here for Monroe? I mean, that's kind of fascinating, right? I mean, it's typically always been the other way. I might lean towards taking Arkansas State. Now, let's just go over it. I mean, actually, people are betting this game, Patrick. People are betting this game. A lot of money on Arkansas, on Monroe. The line has stayed steady right there. I think I might take Arkansas State in the points.
Okay, Kansas is in Austin to take on Texas. Kansas is catching 31. Here's one thing I will say. Get that buyout ready in Austin for Sarkisian. Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Look, I tell you, I think this is a little light. I mean, it's ticked up. It opened at 29.5. It ticked up to 31. I think it's a little light, Patrick. I think, to me, if you're Steve Sarkisian, you got to really dominate Kansas. If you can. You got to give some hope back to your program. I think it's a little light. I think that's why that number's ticked up. I wouldn't play it. It's a no play for me, but I see that being the case.
Well, this is a Texas program that lost at home to Oak State, lost on the road to Baylor, lost at Iowa State. They're falling apart. They need something as Kansas is in town. Next up, Vandy's number 2 on your list. They're catching 21.5 at Kentucky. Kentucky looking to bounce back.
Yeah, I think this is Kentucky. Kentucky's got they lose 45-42 last week to Tennessee. I think it's a huge bounce back. 21.5 versus Kentucky. I think I'd take Kentucky. Vandy's not a very good team. Although, they're battling. Clark Lee's going to have to turn this program around, and I think he will, but it's going to take some time.
We're going to have to ask the state of New Mexico to pull themselves together when it comes to football, because New Mexico State 7 on your list, but at the bottom of the basement is indeed New Mexico. 3-6 overall, they're 1-8 ATS. They do not cover for the bettors.
They do not cover, and Fresno State coming off their game. I think for sure. I think Fresno State will gear it up in this one. I do think that. I mean, look, Fresno State's got all the tickets. This line opened 24.5. It's bounced back between 24 to 24.5 to 24. I think going away. I think I lean Fresno State here tonight.
Bob Davie was.
Yeah, he used to be the coach there.
He was there at New Mexico.
This was a good program at one time.
Was it?
This was Joe Morrison. Was the head coach at New Mexico. He ended up winning there and got the South Carolina job.
That's right.
They had it going a little bit there. You got to get into West Texas. You got to be able to beat Texas Tech and you got to get in there, and you got to get into Phoenix, and you got to get into Arizona to get some kids. It's a hard job because Albuquerque's not always a direct flight. But you're going to have to do it. I mean, that's a challenge. It's interesting. The basketball program's always good there. Mm-hmm. Rick Pitino Jr. went there this year.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. So it's funny when you talk about regionally with recruiting. At South Carolina, they always said the same thing. You got to break down the wall there to Georgia and Florida. At New Mexico, you got to get into Texas. I mean, that's the huge recruiting. You got to get into. You got to have a lot of Texas kids there, and you got to entice them to come to Albuquerque. And you got to look. The one thing you do now, when the world since the travel has changed so dramatically, is wherever you get a direct flight from your airport, that's your recruiting area. Because the one thing you can do is you want the parents to be able to get on one flight to come see you. And so the one flight to come see their kids, and if they can drive, that's better. But if they can at least fly, it's even better. So, and you want the kids to have you don't want them to change 3 times. It's to make Lubbock such a hard job. It's hard to get to Lubbock. It's hard. There's no direct flights to Lubbock. You got to go through Dallas or Houston. You wake up for the football picks, you get a lesson in logistics from Michael Lombardi. Do you remember recruiting anybody down in New Mexico? Is there anybody that stands out when I say New Mexico?
High school football is not very good down there, and it's hard to, I can't remember really watching a player that went to New Mexico that was good. I have to go through my memory, but I got my books here. I have to look it up.
No, perfect. That's
the one good thing about having an office. I got all my books here. I can go look it up, and Millie's not yelling at me because what are you doing with all that stuff? Just throw it away. So I keep it all here. It's kind of nice.
And good internet.
Yeah. Oh, I got good internet. We're working today, Patrick. Isn't this great? Working on a Saturday.
Stephen Bonds